We introduced this earlier in the season, and we'll update it right now. It's the Defcon Canales meter, right? It's like Defcon Canales. First of all, we need to explain, Dennis, which side is the side that is good and which, because, you always hear Defcon 5, and that's not actually good.
Defcon 5 is fine.
Is good. No
everything's
threats.
great. Everything's gravy. Defcon 1 is where things are a severe state.
Seems backwards, and I feel like most people confuse it. So we have it set right now to 4, which is one tick away from no threat at all. You're good, confident, chill, have fun, enjoy yourself. Dave Canales grew a ton this year. There is still a long way to go. I thought about, yesterday we had a conversation, we updated the Bryceometer. I think in a lot of ways, you could take that segment and just do the answering machine thing, right? You have reached, and then you just record the name, Tim Donnelly. They are not available right now. Please leave a message for Tim Donnelly. If you just overrode where we said Bryce Young yesterday and put Dave Canales, right? The amount that Dave Canales has improved from the first 2 weeks of the season to the last week of the season is insane. The confidence level in the first 2 games for Dave Canales was non-existent. In the last week, in the Sunday win where Bryce Young had 3 touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns, on one of those touchdowns, they had the right tackle out in a route. He was running a receiving route. The right tackle, Brady Christensen. Dave Canales' confidence shot through the roof. The Bryce Young glow-up is getting all the attention. I saw elsewhere on ESPN Radio, Harry Douglas had Bryce Young as his number 1, up, right? He puts a list out of players that are doing good. Bryce Young was number 1. The Bryce Young glow up is getting all of the attention. Dave Canales' was almost as impressive. The difference in the struggles of Bryce Young early in the first month of the season versus the swagger shown in the last month of the season is really only matched, in my opinion, by the improvement in Dave Canales from the first month of the season to the last month of the season. They truly struggled together. Now, Dave Canales didn't get benched, mostly because you don't really do that. But they really did kind of glow up together once Bryce Young came back into the lineup. And I'm not even talking, when I say Dave Canales, improved and showed all this dramatic difference from then to now, I'm not talking about the big picture stuff of, stick to the run or be optimistic every day. I'm talking about setting up individual plays in your offensive play calling and knowing the timing to call them, which is so important when it comes to offensive minds, right? It's not just having a great play sheet, right? Everybody's got that laminated Denny's menu that they walk around with on the sideline when they're calling plays. It's not just having awesome plays on the Denny's menu. A lot of it is, when do you call them? Right? The perfect counter works when it's set up. Gets your running back lit up when it's not set up, right? If you have linebacker flow going over the top and it gives your guards a chance to get to the second level and put a hat on the linebackers and create that seam, boom, Chuba Hubbard. Off to the races. If you haven't set it up enough and those linebackers are staying home, now your guards can't get out there and make the block. Chuba Hubbard gets the ball and boom. If he does an excellent job, he falls forward for a gain of 1.5. Dave Canales improved a ton. To go on to that point, I don't know how this popped up. Social media algorithms. My Instagram algorithm knows how much of a weird NFL historical fan I am. There was one time, where Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Drew Brees were teammates. It was the AFC Pro Bowl the AFC Pro Bowl team in 05 or 04 when Brees made his only Pro Bowl with the Chargers. It was Brady, Brees, Manning. And they were being mic'd up during that game because I guess they sensed the historic nature. And they talked about the playbook, and Brady basically looked at him and he just said, yeah, we all run the same plays. We just call them different things. Think about that, right? These are the Peyton Manning offense with Tom Moore and all of he's up there changing everything at the line of scrimmage. Tom Brady, which at that point had won 3 Super Bowls, but most people were like, it's a great defense. And the offense, like he hadn't quite done the Randy Moss years yet. And Drew Brees was, just trying to hold off Phillip Rivers from taking his job. And their offenses featuring different positions, we all run the same plays. We just call them different. It's still kind of true. Now, not everybody's going to have to play where the right tackle goes out in the route, but for the most part, the concepts are all the same, and it just comes down to when you call them, and that is what Dave Canales improved on 10,000 times between week 1 and week 18. So you may be saying, this sounds really positive. It sounds like you're really high on. Why did you not go with 5 on the Def Canales level? Why did you not say you're fully confident? Well, it's because there's a lot of other stuff going on. And there's still a long way to go for Dave Canales, just like there's still a long way to go for Bryce Young. Just because you've come a long way doesn't mean you've arrived. If I'm Dan Morgan, and Dan Morgan as a GM and his media availability appeared as if this is the direction he's going to go, Dan Morgan needs to take the offseason by the horns. He needs to say, this is my time, right? Dave Canales, you run the season. I run the offseason. Let me handle the draft. Let me handle the free agent. I will come to you for your advice. We'll collaborate, but this is me. You go watch some film. You go ask yourself some tough questions about your team and that you just ran. Why did you abandon the run in this game? Why was the offense so much more effective when you were forced into the 2-minute drill tempo? Right? And could you bring some of whatever was working in the 2-minute drill tempo to the second quarter of a game with 8 minutes left? Did you use Xavier Legette in the correct ways to get him the ball in space when he was healthy? Like, have those hard questions, because I think in a lot of ways you're going to watch and go, yikes. I don't know if this is exactly apples to apples, but think of the first day you were in your industry. Right, if you are, if you're in sales, think of you've been in sales for 5 years. Think of the first sales calls you made. Think of the first time that the client said, well, that's really expensive. How you reacted versus how you would handle those same objections now. I can tell you this because I've had to do it a few times, right? I'm going to work on myself and get better exercises. It is not fun listening to my radio career 10 years ago, right? The podcasts I started that were going to show everyone what I had going in 2012.
Not too long ago, I listened to some old stuff I did. I went, turn it off.
Yes.
Turn it off.
So Dave Canales, I'm not saying he's as bad as I was in 2012, but what I'm saying is you have to do the hard stuff where you go back and watch and go, why in the heck on 3rd and 7 did I call that play? I hadn't even set it up with You got to do it. You have to. You have to. Because the only way you're going to survive in this league as a quarterback or as a play caller is if you can critically look at yourself and come up with the things that defenses are going to do to you at least at the same time as they figure it out, right? Because, I talk about the sophomore slump. Everybody wants to talk about the sophomore. C.J. Stroud just suffered a sophomore slump, right? These players that take the league by storm, and then there's almost always a dip. Once you come out of that dip, and you're as good or better than you were before, I go, perfect. You're there. You're going to be around for a long time because you've proven you're not a one-trick pony, right? You've proven you're not a one-hit wonder. You can change what you do and find success. We saw it with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes had that first year, 50 touchdowns as a starter? Whoa. Next year he wins a Super Bowl. MVP first year as a starter, Super Bowl second year as a starter. Then you started hearing the league figured him out. All you have to do is throw 2 shell at him. You have to throw 2 high safeties. Don't let Tyreek Hill get behind, and if you make him complete 10 passes, he'll make a mistake. And then I remember I was watching It was a Peyton Manning interview somewhere. He was talking about the same thing. And he goes, if I'm one of Patrick Mahomes' friends, I'm telling him this. They are insulting you, Patrick. They're saying you don't have the discipline to take the check down every single play. You'll get greedy, you'll force it downfield, and they'll take advantage of it. They are insulting you by saying you don't have that kind of self-discipline. Well, guess what Patrick Mahomes does now? The guy never throws the ball more than like 5 yards downfield. His yards per attempt, air yards per attempt is like nothing because he's just that disciplined. He changed. Canales is going to have to do the same thing. He's going to have to watch the film this year and say, what are they going to do to stop the things that worked the last month of the season for me and Bryce? And he's going to have an answer for it. He's going to have the self-discipline for it. He's going to have to change it up. And once he proves he can do that, there's nothing they can do to you. Because they'll come up with something that fixes it. They'll come up with something that figures you out, and you'll already be on to the next. Canales was asked what he learned this year about himself as a coach.
Just openness to learn from people who have done it before, who have been a head coach, and also just coordinators and position coaches who have been around football for a long time, and to take in all the information possible, and then to try to make the best decisions weekly, really daily, that I feel are best for our team, from a football standpoint. And so hopefully just learning that has helped me, and, making sure that I continue to have that openness to collect all the information and make those decisions collectively.
My advice, take a week and a half. Watch some of the upcoming NFL playoffs from, a beach cabana in Cabo. Then come back with a very, very critical eye for the decisions you made. Def Canales level, 4. At times this year, we didn't update it every week, but it was flirting with 1. If it wasn't there firmly, it was flirting with the other side. So a lot of improvement from both Bryce and Dave Canales over the second half of the season.